It's time to take you through this week in Nicholls Athletics as we bring you the best of Colonel sports from Nicholls State University. This week in Nicholls Athletics is presented by State Farm Insurance. Contact your local State Farm agent today and get to a better state with State Farm Insurance.
Welcome to This Week in Nicholls Athletics, presented by State Farm Insurance. I'm your host, Mike Wagenheim. We have a packed show for you. Coming up in a bit, we'll tell you about the work underway at the Colonel Soccer Complex. Plenty of highlights from around campus as well. We start with one of the feel-good stories of the season. The Colonel men's basketball team had been written off in January. A run of tough luck appeared to have sunk their season. Boy, though, they've turned things around now. Nicholls entered last weekend having won 3 of their previous 4 games. Now they would step out of conference play, participating in their first ever ESPN Bracket Buster game as they hosted IUPUI last Saturday. The Colonels came in winners of 3 of their last 4, while the Jaguars had claimed victory in 4 of their previous 5. IUPUI featuring swingman Alex Young, the current leading active scorer in the nation. 2 minutes in, IUPUI escapes the trap. Ian Childs finding Lionel Gaines off to Young and back to Childs for the straightaway 3. Childs scored 11 in the first half. Jags up 2. Lyndon Smith Hyde for Nicholls, right wing to a cutting Dantrell Thomas. He shovels to Trevon Lewis for the throwdown. Nicholls trails by 3 at the 11-minute mark. Chris Talkington making an impact for the first time in a while as he continues to battle a knee injury. Just checked in and setting up after the inbounds in the corner, bombs away. Seatalk scored a team-high 16. Late first half, IUPUI building their lead. Marcellus Barksdale on the wing, hitting Donovan Gibbs for the layup. Nicholls down 10 inside of 2 minutes. Colonels make a nice run, though. Final 5 seconds. Rillier takes the inbounds and has nothing but daylight. Colonels shot 50% in the half, but IUPUI hit at a 61% clip, and the Colonels trail by 5 going into the locker room. Second half, here, Colonels inching closer. Rillier up top, little shake and bake, spots Jeremy Smith for the baseline J. Smith scored 13. It's a 1-possession game with 17 minutes to go. IUPUI answering. Stephen Thomas lobs to Gaines on the end line, out to Young for the bonus ball. He shot 8 of 12 from the field, 8 of 9 from the line, racked up 25 points. Colonels down as many as 13. Late in the game now, Seatalk defending high post, denying the entry, creating the turnover, and is duly rewarded on the other end as Rillier distributes to him. He launches and strikes. Nicholls hit 8 threes, still down 7 though with 3 minutes to go. Minute and a half left. Childs misses a jumper, but Young clears the rebound and scores the ball. IUPUI shot 60% for the game. They're up by 8 here. Final minute, DT in the corner, pump fake, dribble drive, and the dish to Lewis for the layup. Colonels within 6. But IUPUI hit 25 of 31 free throws, and Nicholls just can't close the gap much further. They fall by a final of 84-80. The Colonels played that game without their best post defender, Sam McBeth. With the contest having no effect on the conference tournament hunt, McBeth took the opportunity to rest his ailing hands and knee. He would return, though, for Wednesday's Southland matchup with Central Arkansas. The Bears had destroyed Nicholls in Conway back in January. Nicholls had played that game without Trevon Lewis, while Dantrell Thomas hobbled around for 2 minutes before coming out. Central Arkansas hadn't won since, and they came to Thibodaux for the rematch without 3 contributors, key contributors, who were all suspended for violating team rules. No one had been crying for the Colonels, though, so there would be no outpouring of sympathy from them either. Opening minute, Shane Rillier with the helper to Thomas, hitting from straight away. Thomas on his way to a 22-point night. LaQuinton Miles, a star for UCA, had a frustrating evening. The turnover here, and then he gets his shot stuff coming up. Miles was limited to 5 points after a 19-point, 10-rebound effort against Nicholls last time around. Jarvis Garner picked up the slack for the Bears, though. Miles feeds Garner for the smooth turnaround J. 13 minutes in, UCA up 21-19. Nip and tuck first half, last 2 minutes. Lewis strips Joe Harris here. Thomas scoops it up, and it's showtime for Lewis. The reverse dunk. We're tied at 28. Seconds later, Brian Hammond rebounding the Miles miss. He would push it up the floor and then unselfishly leaves it for the trailing Thomas. Colonels go into halftime up 30-28. Nicholls wastes no time. Coming out of the locker room, Lyndon Smith Hyde finds Jeremy Smith. Down the lane line he goes, pump fake and the bucket. Smith with a double-double, 14 and 10. The Colonels go on an 8-0 run. Midway through the half, Bears clawing back. Joe Harris dishing to Carlin Bremner in the corner. UCA back in it. It's 48-43. But the Colonels were able to break down the Central Arkansas pressure all night. Hammond with a lob to Lewis. Trevon scored 17. Bryan had 8 assists. Colonels up 10 inside of 7 minutes. Thomas corralling the rebound, and it's off to the races. Hammond chucks it ahead to Lewis. The jam. Nicholls scored 52 points in the paint. The lead is at 11. But bad news toward the end. Here, Thomas misses a layup. Smith with a rebound and putback, but on the way down, he catches Thomas inadvertently in the face with the elbow. Getting another look at it here, Thomas broke his nose. His status for today's game at McNeese is questionable. Nicholls wins the game, though, convincingly, 80-70, the final score. The Colonels improving to 9-17 overall. They're now 5-8 in conference. DT's latest setback, just another example of how rough and tumble this season has been, but the Colonels have been determined not to let the bad times get them down. Ashley Bull has a story.
The Nicholls men's basketball season is nearing an end, and the team is determined to make history. The fact that they are closing in on a program milestone is remarkable based on their run of tough luck and the dire situation they found themselves in just weeks ago. Not much was expected from this year's squad. The Colonels were predicted to finish at the bottom of the league standings. Having lost a great deal of production from last season's team, this was to serve as a rebuilding period for the program.
I knew that this was a young group of guys and that we would have some struggles along the way. But I thought we could finish close to 500 in conference play. And I felt like, I still feel like if we hadn't gotten the injuries that we had to deal with, that we would probably be close to 500 right now.
While Piper hoped to oversee progress, sophomore Dantrell Thomas had a brighter outlook.
My expectations was pretty high because we had a couple of guys coming back from last year that got some good minutes, and we had a couple of new freshmen coming in that had a lot of talent. So we had a lot of our expectations was pretty high for this season, but injuries took that away, I guess.
While Piper and Thomas had mixed predictions going into the season, no one expected the slew of injuries that took a devastating toll on the team. Projected starting point guard Pedro Maciel and star forward Fred Hunter were lost for the year with torn knee cartilage. The team's only senior, Ben Martin, saw his career come to a sudden end due to a bulging disc in his back. Starting forward Lachlan Prest played in just 13 games before a torn ACL sent him to the operating room. Starting forward Chris Talkington missed significant time with an MCL sprain, while Thomas also sat in an appreciable portion of the year with a broken fibula and now may have to miss again after suffering a broken nose earlier this week.
It was pretty shocking. I did not expect as many injuries as we got. I'm just like DT. I didn't come from a team. You know, I'm not used to a team coming with so much injuries at such a bad time. You know, we're all young, trying to learn the game. But hey, nothing you can do about it. It's a game of basketball. You got to overcome and play through it.
It just seemed like a bad dream, and I tell the guys all the time that I get to coach again the following year. It's really it's difficult to watch them go through it. Seeing a guy like DT not being able to play with all the work he's put in the off season, your heart kind of breaks for the guys. And we're in this together. We talk about being a family, and so it seemed like for a while we couldn't catch a break. It was just somebody hurt every day, and groups of people hurt. So it's good to finally start getting healthy.
A youthful team besieged by injuries is generally a recipe for disaster. If the Colonels were to have any chance of piecing together a competitive squad, the burden would fall on the club's underclassmen.
We had to pick up a lot of slack. We had to you had to play as many minutes as you would normally play. Being a freshman, but you live from it. Going into the next season, you should expect more.
The bulk of your team and the bulk of the guys that you're depending on are all freshmen, sophomores, which makes it pretty tough until they kind of grow up and get through the learning curve, I guess. And thankfully, I feel like we're at that point now.
Piper probably felt a different sentiment a month ago. Nicholls started off the season 0-5 in conference, which coincided with a 6-game overall losing skid. During this time, the Colonels were losing by an average of 21 points. It was enough to make any team want to throw in the towel.
Looked like they lacked energy, they lacked enthusiasm. you know, when things are good and they're rolling, you see a lot of smiles and you can see enjoyment in the body language and just the way they carry themselves, and that was missing. And we talked about it. We seen, like, look, you guys look miserable. You look like you're at a funeral. Remember, you like playing this game. You enjoy this process, and don't let this difficult time allow you to forget how much you love playing the game. Just keep working. It's going to get better.
As their struggles placed them in an unacceptable position, the players rallied around each other, determined to finish the season strong regardless of the obstacles.
We kind of like sat down and, like, you know, discussed like what we really want as a team and just what we needed to get over this with the toughness.
It's just a whole team thing to us, and one person messed up, the whole team messed up. That's how we take it. Toughness is a team.
A bond this strong has helped Nicholls get back into the running for Southland Conference Tournament. Thomas and Talkington have returned to the lineup, with Thomas recently garnering Southland Conference Player of the Week honors. Meanwhile, the underclassmen have come of age earlier than expected and are playing like the veterans this team needed them to become. This phenomenal comeback highlights the team's unwillingness to give up and the trust they placed in one another.
It's like a brotherhood, our team. We're just close like that. And we just want to win. We come down to it.
I think given everything that we've been through in this year with injuries and the adversity we faced, that would probably be one of the biggest moments I've had as a coach. The guys kept competing and fighting, and really it's a credit to them. I'll get credit for it as the head coach, but it's a credit to them and how hard they work. And, you know, they never gave up. I think a lot of, in particular, young kids would give up in this situation, but it says a lot about the type of young men we have in our program.
The journey for the Colonels is not over yet, as 3 conference games remain. In order for Nicholls to reach their school record 4th consecutive conference tournament, they will have to play well down the stretch starting this afternoon against McNeese. For This Week in Nicholls Athletics, I'm Ashley Bull.
Thanks, Ashley. Entering today's contest at McNeese, the Colonels sit in 8th place, 1 game ahead of Texas State for the final tournament berth. The Nicholls women's basketball team came into last Saturday's Southland Conference matchup against Texas San Antonio, jostling for prime seeding in the upcoming league tournament. Last season, the Colonels fell to the Roadrunners in double overtime, giving UTSA a 6-game win streak against Nicholls. Early action, Summer Leslie with the ball up top. Nice step fake, gets a defender off balance, finishes at the basket. Leslie putting up monster numbers this season. Summer brings it up the floor, the handoff to Leanne McCarthy, who spots KK Babin in the corner. Babin, 17th in the nation in 3-pointers per game. Colonels leading by 10 just 5 minutes in. The Roadrunners, though, chip away. UTSA swings it to Camera King for the long-distance connection. She scored a team-high 21. The Nicholls lead is down to 5. Final minute of the first half, Ashley Gardner at the elbow. Out for Simone Young, back to Gardner for the paint jumper. At halftime, we're tied at 30. Second half, Colonels fall behind briefly. Babin off the mark here. McCarthy boards it. The finish and foul. Leanne with 16 points and 6 boards. It's 41-37 Colonels after the free throw. Nicholls built up a 6-point advantage before Whitney Wright scored back-to-back buckets. Judy Jones here splits 2 Colonels and lays it in. We're square at 46 with 9 minutes left. Leslie, top key, breaking down her defender. Drives, stops, and pops. Another huge effort for the senior from Homa. That put Nicholls up 4 with 7:30 left. Colonels then pulling away. Leslie here again slicing to the basket. She would convert the 3-point play back to a double-digit lead. Leslie with 29 points on 8 of 12 shooting, including 4 threes. She went 9 of 9 from the line, 6 boards, 8 assists, 5 steals. The Colonels win it 68-62. Their 13th win of the year leaves them just 1 shy of tying the program record. They would try to match that benchmark on Wednesday, but they'd have to snap Central Arkansas's 10-game winning streak in the process. 2 Player of the Year candidates in this one, Megan Herbert of UCA and the Colonel's Summer Leslie. Herbert, just a dominating player, gets the feed from Rogers and finishes at the basket. The Sugar Bears jumped out to a 20-5 lead. Colonels just trying to hang around. McCarthy stripping Weston Taylor. Leslie scoring on the break. The Colonels trailed by 2 touchdowns at the 6:25 mark. We're down 20 at the break. Second half, Alicia Allen with the bonus ball here off the dish from Leslie. Allen scored 13 and registered 9 boards, but Herbert was just too much. 22 points and 11 boards, her 62nd career double-double. UCA wins going away 67-47. Leslie was limited to 10 points and 5 assists. Nicholls now 13-13 overall, 6-7 in conference play. They sit in 7th place, and they'll host McNeese this afternoon at 3:30. We've got baseball, softball, and soccer on the way. You're tuned in to This Week in Nicholls Athletics, presented by State Farm Insurance.
There goes Dwayne's car. There goes Dwayne's house. And there goes Dwayne.
Man, that thing does not like Dwayne.
State Farm's got you covered.
In Lockport, call Ashley Barrios. And in Houma, call Travis Gravois.
Get to a better state.
Back with you on This Week in Nicholls Athletics, presented by State Farm Insurance. We'll get you caught up on baseball and softball shortly. Right now, Philip Boudreau fills us in on a real game changer for Nicholls soccer.
Since the inception of the women's soccer program, the only thing the players have been able to call their own is their field across from Guidry Stadium. After several years of starts and stops, that's all about to change this fall. The Colonels currently suit up in their locker room in Shaver Gym on one side of campus, then drive across the university to get to their field for practice and games. A few years ago, Nicholls pledged to supply the team with a building right next to their territory that would fulfill all of their essentials in one place. But right off the bat, the necessary funds weren't there. The university required a donor if the project ever fancied on becoming reality. The first contributor came in and donated enough money for building to begin. Soon after the pavilion and the cement slab were finished, the supporter dropped out of the project due to the economic downturn. When the contributions disappeared, the construction hit a standstill until the L'Oreal Foundation of Thibodaux graciously emerged as the new benefactor. The construction process has picked back up and the vision is close to coming to fruition. Senior Carolyn Noble is a living testament to the progression of the program.
Well, to be honest, like the locker room in Shaver right now, that was a blessing in disguise. I'm a senior, so this was supposed to be here, 5 years ago? As I was coming in as a freshman, it was supposed to be built. So, you know, not having anything for the first 2 years that I was here, when they opened up that locker room to us and surprised us, because that's what it was a surprise, that I cried, honestly. So having the locker room in Shaver and having to come to the field after that, it's not as convenient as it would be just having a locker room, you know, right over side of our field.
Nicholls Assistant Vice President for Facilities, Mike Davis, is overseeing the project, assuring that the long-awaited complex will include the whole shebang.
Obviously, we've included a nice locker room facility for them, coach's office, a nice meeting room area, of course showers and everything for our team. There's a visitor's locker room that can also be used by our track program when it's not soccer season. There'll be a small either a room for officials to dress or a small training room will be in there. There'll be a concession stand, public restrooms, there'll be washroom facilities, and then there's a large covered area in front of the building, all underneath the roof, that can be used for fans to sit underneath there, and perhaps eventually down the road when additional funds are secured, we can put some AstroTurf down there, which would create a nice covered practice facility when it's either when it's inclement weather, the field is too wet outside. They'll still be able to get drills in underneath there.
Head coach Dylan Harrison and freshman forward Sarah Tawney know what the building symbolizes.
The big thing is it's a commitment that's been made to our players for the past few years. So the first real change is that re-belief, and what we're doing here is important, not only to our players, but to the administration and even the community as a whole, because there's quite a few people who have stepped up and helped make this dream, what was a dream a few years ago, become a reality. So.
Honestly, I believe it's a reflection of our program over the past few years. I know that I'm a starting freshman, but what I've been hearing, we're just getting better and better and better, especially with this new freshman class, and next year's class I've met a lot of the new recruits. I think this facility is just a reflection of us getting better as a team and us having more confidence in ourselves to be able to win conference games. And honestly just to represent the school and represent Colonels.
Harrison is ecstatic about the building's accessibility, while Noble looks forward to having a place the team can claim as their very own.
I just think the overall convenience of it all. We've been able, over the last 2 years, been able to go ahead and establish a locker room, but it's all the way across campus. We've been able to go ahead and establish, use the training room, but that's a different location, and then even just taking care of equipment, having to take that to a different location to get cleaned and whatnot. To be able to have all the things that we need right next to our field, it's going to be huge.
Having our own place to call our own, it's our own building, it's just for the soccer team. There's no classrooms in it that other people use. We can hang out, have games, have team meetings. I think just the actual locker room itself to call our own that we haven't, we kind of have to share it right now, so I think that's the best feature.
For the program's younger players like Tani, the highly anticipated addition to the Colonel Soccer Complex promises to make a significant impact on the rest of their collegiate careers.
As a player, I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited to have something that's all our own, something that's not only for us, but it's for the fans as well. It's really convenient having it right there, just having our equipment, having a place to go, having concessions for all of our fans. It's really exciting, and I feel like I can brag about something now, brag about our school, brag about our facilities. Even with teams coming in, they'll see it and be wowed by what we have to offer.
The $450,000 project highlights the evolution of the women's soccer program and shows that the university is serious about taking the program into new heights. Barring any setback, the facility is set to be complete by early August before the team returns for preseason conditioning. For This Week in Nicholls Athletics, I'm Philip Boudreau.
Thanks, Philip. We're talking baseball and softball coming up. Stay with us.
There goes Dwayne's car. There goes Dwayne's house. And there goes Dwayne.
Man, that thing does not like Dwayne.
State Farm's got you covered.
In Thibodaux, call Mike Bednards. And in Houma, call Mark Anderpont.
Get to a better state.
The Nicholls baseball team stepped onto the diamond for the first time last Friday for the start of a 3-game set against 29th-ranked Southern Miss in Hattiesburg. Gorgeous day at Pete Taylor Park for the season opener. The Colonels, though, sent their ace Seth Webster to the mound, looking to spoil the Golden Eagles' good time. Top of the first inning here, Matt Richard leads off the season with a double. And All-Southland honoree Jeremy Hill drives him in with this two-bagger. The Colonels are on the board here against the nationally ranked Golden Eagles. Southern Miss would tie it in the first on an Aaron Colonel throw before taking the lead with a 2-run second. Connor Barron with a run-scoring single here off of Webster, and that made it 3-1 in favor of Southern Miss. Now, Nicholls would get a run on a wild pitch in the fourth, and Webster settles in. He retired 14 of 16 during one stretch, sends Travis Creel packing in the fourth. Webster fanned 4. He allowed 3 earned runs on 9 hits in 6 2/3 innings. Nicholls down 1 in the fifth before Bo Falk notches an RBI hit. Michael LaGrange does the same here, chasing in Blake Mageron, and the Colonels are up 4-3. LaGrange singled 3 times. Nicholls up 5-3 at the stretch. Southern Miss pulls within 1. They have the tying run in scoring position, but Jordan McCoy comes on and gets Blake Brown to pop it up. McCoy retired all 7 batters he faced to pick up the save. Nicholls pulling off the upset in the season opener, the first win over Southern Miss in their last 10 tries, 5-4. The final score. Now, the weather was not so nice on Saturday. A deluge postponed Game 2 of the set, and the teams played a twin bill on Sunday under cold, blustery, damp conditions. Nicholls sent Patrick Shreve to the hill against the debuting Jake Drahoff here. Again, the Colonels got off to a nice start. Hill with the sacrifice fly, plating Matt Richard in the first, but that is all Drahoff allowed. He went 6 innings, walking 4 and striking out 3. Meanwhile, For Southern Miss coming up here, Chase Fowler delivering a 2-run hit, chasing home Ashley Grader and Cameron Brunty, and the Golden Eagles up 1 after 1. Brunty coming off a 1-game suspension, the All-Conference USA selection, singling to center to score Grader in the 7th. He had 3 hits in the game, that one just bleeding through. That matched the Colonels' total as a team, that hit total. Freshman James McMahon slamming the door. He allowed just 1 base runner. In the 3 innings, he went to work, and the Colonels fall by a 5-1 margin in the opening game of that doubleheader. The rubber game was a 7-inning affair. Mike Weiscarver would notch the start for Nicholls. Boomer Scarborough got the call for Southern Miss. Nicholls down 1, top of the 2nd. Should have been the inning here, but the wild pitch on the Cody Dufresne strikeout allows LaGrange to score, and Nicholls ties it at 1. The Colonels claim the lead on LaGrange's RBI single in the 4th. That scores Blake Bajeron, but that would be the last of 4 hits in the game for Nicholls. Weiscarver allowed 2 unearned runs in 4 1/3 innings. He leaves with a game tied at 2. Michael Sook here facing Michael Sterling in the 6th. A 2-run double for Sterling puts Southern Miss ahead. Again, the bullpen outstanding for the Golden Eagles as Cameron Giannini throws 3 innings of shutout hitless baseball for the win. The Colonels fall 5-2, and the series would go to Southern Miss. Colonels put up a fight, though, in the opening game of that series. Just don't have enough to get by the Golden Eagles. Southern Miss is going to be tough this year. They have the number 3 ranked recruiting class in the country. Well, the Colonels would open up the home portion of their schedule against Southern University Tuesday night at revamped Didier Field, and they came out swinging. Corey DeLang, making his first start in a Colonel uniform, strikes out Jaguar shortstop Jeremy Lopez in the 1st. DeLang tossed 5 innings, allowing 2 runs while fanning 7. Nicholls up 1-0 in the 4th, 2 on, 2 out, and Phillip Lyons coming up here at the bat. He would leg out the infield hit. It would score 2 runs as Austin Flores comes all the way around from second on the hustle play. It's 5-0 now in the 6th when Southern's Derek Hopkins rudely greets new pitcher Merrick Ardoin with an RBI double. The Jags scored 3 runs in the frame, but Nicholls would respond. Bottom half of the 6th, bases loaded, 2 outs, and Michael LaGrange deals the crushing blow. A 3-run double puts the Colonels back up by 5. Nicholls goes on to win it 10-3 the final. They're playing in the Colonel Round Robin along with Stony Brook and Alabama State this weekend. The Colonel softball team opened their home opener on Tuesday, their first home game of the year. They fell to South Alabama by an 8-2 final. It was their 5th straight loss, the first time they've fallen in a home opener since 2008. They came back strong, though, against Alcorn State on Wednesday. Tied at 1 in the 2nd, Ashton Bennett singles up the middle, driving in Cat Angeles. It's Bennett's first hit of the season. Leah Andrus comes home. On this Ashley Berto double down the line, the Colonels notch 4 runs in the 2nd inning. And Bennett would take care of the rest in the circle, coming on for 5 2/3 innings of flawless relief. No Lady Brave reached base cleanly against her. Colonels win it 6-1. They'll face Louisiana Tech and Southern Miss in a tournament in Hattiesburg today. Well, that's going to do it for this week in Nicholls Athletics, presented by State Farm Insurance. For Philip Boudreau, Ashley Bull, we thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you again next Saturday right here at 10:30 a.m.
Today's show has been brought to you by State Farm Insurance. Contact your local State Farm agent today and get to a better state with State Farm Insurance. This has been a presentation of the Colonel Sports Network.